Good morning, at-home learning people. This is another science lesson. Last Tuesday, we learned about amphibians. So now we're going to move on to our next group of animals, which is reptiles. Reptiles can be kind of fun. They are similar to amphibians in some ways, but not in others. So we're going to take just a few minutes to talk about how they're similar to amphibians and some of the ways that they're different. And then I'm going to give you some resources to look at to help you understand reptiles a little better. So here are a few ways that amphibians and reptiles are alike. They both live on land and water. They can be found everywhere in the world except Antarctica. They are cold-blooded. Remember, that doesn't mean that their blood is cold. It just means that they can't create their own heat like you and I do. They have to depend on the sun or some other source of energy to create their heat. They are vertebrates. That means they have a backbone or vertebrae. They have bones inside their bodies. Like amphibians, they lay eggs, except theirs have hard shells. Amphibians, remember, they were kind of those little jelly eggs. They are omnivores. They eat both plants and animals. So those are a few of the ways they're alike. Here are a few ways they're different, though. They don't have the wet, smooth, slimy skin. They have scales. Interesting fact, they don't sweat, which is why those are dry scales, not wet, slimy skin like amphibians. They do molt. That means they lose their skin when it gets old and they grow new skin. So you might have seen a snake's skin after a snake is molted. It's scraped its skin off, the old skin, and it has new skin underneath. So they're not walking around skinless. They just have new, fresh skin, especially as they grow. They breathe through lungs. Remember, amphibians, they started out with gills, most of them, and then they grew lungs. Reptiles have lungs. They can just hold their breath for a long period of time, which is how they can live underwater, or it seems they can live underwater. Many different reptiles have forelegs and claws. There are not many amphibians that have claws, but you stop and think about all the different lizards and turtles and gators, all these different ones that have claws. So that's one difference between reptiles and amphibians. Here's a really cool fact. You know those little forked tongues that stick out for snakes and a lot of different kinds of lizards? They actually smell through their tongues, not through their noses like you and I do. They smell through their tongues. And that's one of the ways that they are able to find their prey, the animals that they are hunting. Most reptiles have beaks or teeth. You go back and you look at the amphibian video, like frogs and all, they eat their prey whole, their insects whole, and they have the sticky tongue. And reptiles don't have the sticky tongue, but they do have teeth or beaks that crunch and chew those insects or whatever they're eating. Snakes are kind of unique in that they can swallow their prey whole. Their jaw actually dislocates to allow large animals, eggs, things like that, to pass into their bodies for them to slowly digest, which means they can go a long time between eating, 3 meals a day there. They can be the longest living creatures. So be careful before you convince your mom that you need a pet turtle or snake or lizard, because a tortoise, some breeds of tortoise, can live 150 years. Think about yourself in an old age nursing home, 100 and some odd years old, still caring for that turtle. Gators can live up to 70 years, and that pet python that they're selling at the pet store can live 40 years. That's a long time. It's a big commitment. Here are some more interesting facts for you about some reptiles. More people die from bee stings every year than snake bites. True story. Let's see. Their scales are made of a substance called keratin. Keratin is the same thing you have in your body that creates your fingernails and your hair. Your hair and your nails are made up of a substance called keratin. That's what makes up the scales of most reptiles. There are some lizards, and you may have seen this if you've seen lizards on your back porch. If they get caught by the tail, their tail actually detaches and they grow a new one, and that's how they escape, which is pretty cool. If you want to look up the most dangerous reptile, you can do a little research on the Komodo dragon. It doesn't have venom. It has so much bacteria in its mouth that it'll bite something. It can be the largest animal. They have cattle on Komodo Island in Asia, and they will bite that cattle, and the infection from that bacteria slowly kills the animal. They don't attack an animal and eat it right there. They bite it, and then they just follow it until it dies. They're interesting creatures, so you can look up more about the Komodo dragon, find some interesting facts. Mr. DeMeo has a video on snakes, which are one type of reptile. So you can look up Mr. DeMeo. That's DEMAIO. His video on snakes. It looks really fun. I posted a link to a brain pop video on reptiles. So you can go on my website or through the link that I'm sending on Remind and look at the brain pop video. I am not giving any worksheets at this point on amphibians and reptiles, but on Brain Pop, they do have some activities online that you can take advantage of. I'm also posting some videos on Discovery Ed. So I will resend the login information on Discovery Ed. There are actually several videos on there that a couple of you have watched, and I can see who's watched. But they go on from everything from the Industrial Revolution to our plants and animals. So there's about a dozen short videos there that can help you understand the things that we're talking about. I'll keep posting more on there as we go, but that gives you plenty of video resources, things to watch to help you understand plants and animals and Industrial Revolution inventions and things like that. So hopefully you're enjoying some time watching some videos and you are learning some things as you go. I'll be posting about our next animal group either tomorrow or Monday, and it's probably going to be about fish. Some of you are out there fishing right now because it's beautiful weather. So we're going to talk about those fish. Have a great day. Enjoy yourself. And stay safe and well.